Welcome to an embodiment practice unlike any other that you've experienced or explored before. I'm going to take you guys behind the scenes of my own embodiment practice, give you an actual video of this so that you can see me in active practice, not in a guided practice. This is free-form, free-flowing embodiment practice, and this audio is going to be all about explaining what it is that you are seeing, walking you guys through what I'm thinking, feeling, doing, experiencing, and embodying in my own embodiment practice. And then I will also use this video to create a guided practice for you guys to then follow. So I really hope this gives you guys an extremely unique and really deep behind the scenes understanding of what embodiment practice can look like for different people. Because often we're given access to guided embodiment practices, and that's more disciplined, more structured. And so this is going to show you guys how embodiment practitioners then utilize that structure and break it down and integrate it for themselves. Just like a chef might teach a cooking class and show you guys the exact steps, but then when he's doing that or she's doing that or they are doing that for themselves, they might ebb a little bit here and flow a little bit here and do this a little bit different because of their own personal preferences. So instead of just learning the recipe, I want to show you guys me actually cooking the meal and explain bits and pieces of that so that you guys can then take that in for your own development of your own embodiment practice. But of course, I will still offer you guys a guided practice to then sit into, experience, and then jump off of. So thank you so much for being here with me. I am so excited. Let's get started. So you guys see me start to settle into my body. So I have just taken my hair out, kind of moving the blankets around, starting to take deep conscious breaths, waving to you guys, placing a hand upon my heart because I feel so called. So my embodiment practice really starts to follow the premise of doing what feels good in my body, doing what my body calls for. So I try not to limit myself in any way. So for instance, if I was on a live stream right now, I might not fidget with my hair as much. I might not move the comforter around. I might not change my hand position over and over and over. In this practice here, you really see me sinking into my body and following whatever inclinations that I sense. You also saw me roll my eyes up and in towards the third eye. I typically don't let my physical eyelids open up at all when I'm teaching practice because I'm thinking about what people are experiencing on the receptive side. Here you can see that I've placed my hand over my heart and my hand on my womb space, and I am starting to breathe deeply into these spaces. You can also see that I have lifted my eye up again towards my third eye. I'm starting to process some tears, moving my face and chin down. Again, allowing myself to fidget and move and really follow what feels good. So I went to itch my hair, and then I realized moving my hands through it, feeling the depth of the practice that I've included with my hair was really soothing. I then start to trail fingers down my face, really exploring and enjoying my physical vessel. The sensations of moving energy along the lines of physical movement. Really using my physical movement as a way to soothe and to heal the body. As I start to move the head and neck, move the shoulders, the expression on my face changes a little bit. Here I am starting to feel my feelings. And so what I mean by that is I am actually trying to describe the sensations in my body to myself as I'm processing a specific topic. So here I'm starting to get deeply connected to the heart space, rubbing this, warming this, allowing the movement in my spine and in my pelvic cradle, in my head, in my hands to really process that emotion, that feeling, that sensation. I am truly listening to what my body enjoys, what my body likes, what is soothing and comforting to me, and I am moving into a state of deep emotion. I am processing and purging sadness and grief and anxiety and trepidation and just absolute agony by acknowledging what that feels like in my body. Oftentimes bringing my hands to the spaces where I'm sensing and feeling stagnation, irritation, hurt, all of these things moving through the body with my own physical process. I now start to settle in here, palms facing up, setting the intention that I'm willing to receive support from that which I believe in during my embodiment practice. I often find that I lift my face gently up when I feel a response from source, from guides. So here we can see that I'm starting to sense that response. I'm starting to move with even less consideration for what I look like. I'm starting to move from those like typical movement patterns that we see other teachers doing that we deem attractive or at least neutral into things that are a little bit weirder, a little bit more unique to me, a lot less balance here. So I'm not always doing the same thing on each side. My face is also tilted a lot further back now because I am way less worried about the camera catching a perfect view. I am deeper into the embodiment practice now. I am really starting to feel more at home in my body temple. I'm starting to regulate my nervous system, and I'm starting to access my abilities to connect. And just as I mentioned that, my hands go up and start to float energetically over the space of the crown. So I start to offer myself different forms of energy healing and different forms of energy scanning. This is something that everyone can do. You do not need to have a certification, an attunement, a specific modality. Floating the hands or placing the hands on the body and setting intention. So that intention might be to cleanse, to clear, to revitalize, to rejuvenate, to boost the immune system, to move stagnation. I am truly just following what my body asks for and what my energy asks for. I do quite a lot of rubbing, especially when it comes to the heart space and the solar plexus, activating not only the physical support of calming the vagus nerve and all of the support you get from rubbing the belly, but moving the energy into those areas. I can deeply sense that there's stagnation, there's calcification, there's just hard heaviness in a lot of the fourth, third, second, and even a little bit into the root as I'm doing this practice. I now open my hands again, signifying the receptivity. I am consistently reminding the entities, the beings, the vibrations that I work with that I am open for messages. I am open for support. I am open for anything and everything that might elevate my practice. Here we can see that I'm starting to get into a little bit more purging of those heavier, deeper emotions. As I start to grab the clothing, I'm starting to make deeper noises, more grunts, more growls, purging things out like anger, like disrespect, those heavier, lower vibrations. And then I often meet that with something more sensual, something more soft, something very loving and connecting with my divine feminine. For me, that balances the pendulum out, and I feel much more comfortable in practice when I have that type of balance where I don't stay in the aggressive, in the angry, in the hurtful for too much time. We also start to see that there's a lot more fluidity and bigger motions. So I'm really starting to stretch. I've also found a point of stagnation in the stretching. So I place my hands as close to that spot as possible, and I start to run energy healing through that spot. I then continue to kind of muscle test and exposure test, moving gently and finding any place in space where energy is not free moving. I am also continuing to remind myself and coming back to the fact that I want to feel my feelings. So as my monkey mind starts to run and it brings up scenarios, it brings up situations, I go into the feeling of it rather than the thought of it and explore that in my body. Here I'm starting to build a ball of energy, just a potent amount of energy in front of me. I start to feel that both physically and energetically in my hands. And now I am severing the tie of that. What I recognized when I started to create that ball of energy was that it came from some of those lower vibration thoughts inside me. So I cultivated it, cut the cord, and then blew it out of my hands. Now, in that void that I've created, I place my hands on my chest and I deeply fill this space with my intention, with love, with light, with compassion, with understanding, with deep accepting of that situation that created those emotions within me. Just acknowledging, sitting in gratitude. And after I move through that, you can see that I start to sing. I start to feel even more. This is a depiction of my heart cracking open, of my vulnerability becoming most important to me, being present deeply for myself. You can see the difference in the way that I am holding myself here. The hands are so loving, so supportive. You can see the emotion moving through them. Everything is done with a little bit more delicacy, a little bit more pain, a little bit more beauty. I'm really starting to sink into my practice at this point. My eyes are going up and in towards the third eye very, very frequently. Sinking in, settling in, accepting space, stillness, presence. I start to shift gently, again lifting my face up in acknowledgement of the support that is around me, the messages that I start to receive. Deeply connected to the spaciousness that I've created. You can see that my hands have started to move through the sacred mantra and mudra of Sa, the thumb and the pointer finger, Ta, the middle finger and the thumb, Na, the ring finger and the thumb, and Ma, the pinky finger and the thumb. I am progressing through these at a pace all my own while continuing to move my body, a lot of head and neck movement. My eyes are still closed, allowing, being present with myself, feeling my feelings deeply. I start to move energy around again in that snow angel or windmill fashion, cleansing out my auric field, picturing that I am almost raking or squeegeeing my auric field. You can see that my hands start to move in a way that expresses that they're not just moving air, but they're truly moving energy, as if there's more viscosity in the energy around me now than ever before. I allow myself to follow what feels good, finding stagnation, focusing on that stagnation, utilizing my mind, my energy, my body to connect with anything that's out of alignment, returning over and over to feeling my feelings. As my hands are on the back of my head, what feelings come up? Not what stories come up, but what feelings come up and how do they feel in my body? Touching the body, moving energy through and in the body. Allowing sensation to feel so good. Not worrying what it would look like, what others might think. Just completely letting go. Sinking into the physical temple, your vessel. You can see me start to sing again, really cultivating, building energy. Stimulating that heart chakra. Praying. stimulating that vagus nerve, allowing the pressure and the presence of my hands on my chest to bring safety into my body. I find another area of stagnation, of dis-ease in the body, in the energy. I focus on this. I allow my attention and awareness to go to the space. I consider what stories, pictures, thoughts, feelings come up. And once I find the feelings, I sink into the feelings and I feel the feelings by describing them and dropping awareness into every sensation of feeling. You can see me focusing on a space in my back, my trap muscle. My hands go back to my knees, open, present. See my eyes open, come back, allowing it to become almost a practice of looking at the self, being with the self, releasing the judgment of the self, getting into comfort. Bringing energy that I desire in, bringing energy that I desire in, creating space for me to work with my heart. You will also start to see that I truly allow my body to do what it chooses. You will start to see much more itching, much more fidgeting, twitching, different movements of the body. You can see me placing energy and moving through stagnation and heaviness in the space of the throat chakra, protecting, cleansing the third eye, activating the clairaudience. I am pushing gently right in front of the ears as well as up on the forehead, the third eye, the temples, really exploring and massaging and touching here, finding any stagnation, any calcification, anything that feels hardened, abrupt, not fluid. Feeling myself, being present with myself, loving and giving to myself what I desire. You can see me start to twitch more and more here, starting to download in different ways, opening myself up to more of the channel aspects of my practice, releasing tension, discomfort, really allowing myself to do all of the weird things that I normally wouldn't feel comfortable doing in a more professional, quote unquote, professional video. Of I am itching my nose and I am scratching and I am changing the layer of my clothing and moving the blankets and my head is tilted so back. Here we can also see that I'm getting a clairaudient message. Often it drops out my hearing or it's a high-pitched noise. And so here I am really experiencing the discomfort of how that's coming in and working with that and allowing myself to feel that fully coming back into the body. Vectoring my energy up into a pillar and dropping that all the way down to the center of the earth, seeing myself settle into that pillar. Once again, feeling, deeply feeling, coming back over and over to presence with the self. At this point, I'm starting to feel lighter, more radiant, very, very present with so much space. I'm starting to get clarity on a lot of the stagnation and topics and stories that I heard and saw flickers of. Now here you can see that I've done almost the exact same practice building a ball of energy, but instead of this time cutting the cord, severing the tie, releasing it, I actually bring that energy into my heart chakra, allow myself to move up to the ear and the space of clairaudience again, massaging, taking care of, supporting, holding space for, while still maintaining that connection to the heart space. So this time I cultivated energy outside of myself and then brought it inside of myself, whereas last time I moved energy from inside myself to outside of myself and released it. Here you can see that I have achieved a deep sense of calm, presence, spaciousness. So I thank my intuition, I thank my clairs, I thank my guides, I thank everyone and anyone who has supported me in this practice by my prayer hands over the third eye. I drop them down to the heart space, and I really just sit with this. Sit in the expanse. And I sit there for quite some time.